how do we go about building community? And if Maslow points out that community and relationships are important, and if the Bible pointed out that we all need relationships, and if a church service doesn't necessarily provide that, what are we as the Church of Jesus Christ, as the community, doing to actually build those relationships, and how are we going to go about doing it? And I don't necessarily have a whole lot of answers. I just want to share with you a couple of things that I did that built some good relationships when I first moved down here, and also a couple of things that didn't build such good relationships. So when I moved down here, I knew that I had to find some friends, because I didn't really enjoy sitting, talking, crying to my mum on the phone every weekend. It wasn't really that much fun. And I don't know where I heard it, but somebody once said, I think, that the best thing to do when you move towns, or when you don't know anybody, or when you're feeling lonely, is to join a sports team, because you get regular contact with people, and you get a sense of sort of belonging. Like if you're number 15 playing rugby and you don't show up, then they don't have a number 15. They have to put somebody else into your position. And so not only if you're playing rugby do you get to meet a whole bunch of people, but you also get a position which they rely on you for, which also gives you some self-esteem needs. So you start building that relationship, you start building that sense of achievement, and you also start building that personal growth stuff. So when I moved down here, I was looking for a sports team to join. I'm not a particularly sporty guy. I'm fairly uncoordinated. But I thought, heck, I'll give it a go, and perhaps somebody can teach me how to be a bit more coordinated. So I scouted around, and I actually found that there was a Christian rugby team down here that played in the senior competition. So I thought, shucks, that's a jolly good place to start. So I went and started playing with these Christian guys. And that, for me, was a really good way of actually getting into some community and some relationship. So perhaps, just as a thought, if you're out there and you're thinking, shucks, I don't know a lot of people, perhaps find a sports team to join. That's just my suggestion. It could be a good thing to do. One of the other things I did is that after I'd been at Elim for probably 3 or 4 weeks, and I still didn't really know a whole lot of people, an email came out, which I was lucky to get, to the entire congregation from Mitch, and it was basically saying, guys, we're running this kids camp, and we're short of guy leaders. So I emailed Mitch back and said, hey, my name's Hayden, I've been at church about 4 weeks, would you let me come and be a youth leader? And quite rightly, Mitch was like, who are you and where are you from, and did all the rest of it. So I gave my references for my church back home, and so she rang them up, and I'd done a bit of kid stuff. But for me, that was actually really cool, because I also got to go on a camp and meet a bunch of people, a bunch of leaders that were from this church, that were in the community that I was a part of, and just start building some of those relationships. And they couldn't get away from me for 4 days, so that was kind of useful. I'm going to essentially finish now, just hand it over to Andy to try and tidy up the mess that I've made. The challenge that I'd just like to leave you with is kind of following on from that thought of that if a church service doesn't necessarily build community and build relationships, and the Bible says that we're built for relationship and community, Maslow kind of points it out as well from a non-biblical point of view, but both of them are in agreement that we need relationships, we need community. If a church service doesn't necessarily build that, how are you going to build it? Because I reckon that not all of us here know everybody else that's here. And so there's probably some other people that you could meet. There's probably some relationships that we could deepen. And becoming a more connected, more integrated, more actively, biblically functioning community, I think is really important to the health of a church. And I think our church is fantastic. And we can always keep getting better at it. So my challenge is this. What is the next step that you might take this week? What is the one thing that you might do that might help build some more community? Not necessarily talking about a church service as such, but what is the one thing that you might do? It might be that you go to a cell group and you've never been out for coffee with a couple of the members in your cell group. And that might be something which you could do. That might be the next step. It might be that it's time for you to meet somebody new. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out and meet 12 new people this week and invite them around for dinner. That's a bit daunting. That's kind of the next 30 steps. Just what is the one next step that you might do to help build community? Andy, yours, mate.